All right, today we're going to take a look at my SimRacingBay GT3 wheel. I'm going to talk a little bit about the button feel, the rotary feel, and some of the shifter feedback I have just in general, but I really like this wheel and I want to talk about it. My previous wheels have all been button boxes on top of rims, except for my Asher Racing F28 wireless wheel. That was also a very good wheel also. And we're going to kind of compare the two. So I'll talk about this one in relation to my thoughts with the Asher. As you guys all know, the Asher is a fantastic wheel, but this one is for GT car racing. I think this one is a little bit better, and we'll explain why. But first and foremost, let's talk about the look of this thing. The shape of this wheel is the shape of the wheel that comes in the Huracan GT3 car, as well as the Audi R8. I'm not so sure what the 2020 designs for their wheels look like, but this is the at least 2019 and before. The shape of their wheel. So you see a lot of replicas on the market. So on the market, you see a lot of do-it-yourself builds out there. This one seems to be a pretty common shape for wheel. In fact, the GT3 wheel for the Huracan and the R8 LMS are very, very popular, but the shape of the wheel is fantastic. It looks like an old turn racing F1 shape or R1 shape. I really like the shape of this wheel. Now, compared to the Asher is a 280 millimeter wide wheel, and this one's 300. So GT cars, you need a little bit more width, just in my personal opinion, because you get a lot of more torque when turning the wheel. So this one, the width is going to help specifically with that. Now, I did have the F28 and I tried to use it with GT cars. Didn't really care for it too much because it's too narrow and I felt like it was screwing my shoulders up. So in a nutshell, the difference between this and the F28 is the width and obviously some of the buttons and feel, but that's not the important part. The important part is the form factor, how it feels in your hand, and how you can rotate that wheel around the center shaft. So this one, in my opinion, is significantly better for GT3 cars because of that extra 20 millimeters of width. Now, let's talk about the things that usually trigger me, like this carbon fiber front end here. This is a sticker, and I don't really mind it too much on this wheel. Now, I will talk about the price point at some point, and I'll show you some of the options you can get for this wheel. But this is a sticker, and the good part about this sticker is, even though it is a print of carbon fiber, the weaving of carbon fiber on this print is very, very real looking. Secondly, you can peel this off and add a new sticker on there if you choose to. SimRacingBay provides a template, so all you need to do is find a print shop that'll print this out in the method that you want, and then you can obviously carve your lines out. But optically, when I drive it, I don't feel like it's anything but carbon fiber, even though it's just a sticker. I don't really care for it that much. Underneath the sticker is an aluminum frame that is very, very rigid. It has a nice little machining along the edge. It's not really that visible, but if you look really closely, you can see it. Maybe when we do the close-up and glamour shots, I'll show you that. And then the box is obviously aluminum. The good thing about this wheel is it uses a SimUcube wireless transmitter to talk to my SimUcube 2 Pro system back here. So the wireless connectivity is inherent to this wheel and the base itself. So that makes it a lot easier to kind of just plug it on. Now, I mentioned before with the Precision Sim Engineering wheel that I had that was Bluetooth, like I mentioned, it was 3 feet away from my computer and I had connection issues between the wheel and computer. So you don't have to worry about that because these SimUcube wireless systems are so reliable. I can honestly say in a year and a half that I've had this SimUcube 2, I haven't had one connection failure with any of my wheels that use the SimUcube module. So I'm very happy they have this inherently built in, and it's not some type of Bluetooth dongle situation that we know have connection issues across multiple different scenarios. So that's very good too. So let's talk about the buttons. I don't want to say the buttons are similar, but they have the same tactile feel as my SimCore does, and I really like that tactile feel. So you don't have to put way too much effort in, but you get a really nice, soft, positive click on the entry, and I don't mind it too much. So that's used in 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 buttons on the front. We have our rotary encoders. In my opinion, these have a little bit too much random play in it. I'd like for them to be more like the Asher Racing wheel, which is very, very firm. They didn't have that play, but we're splitting hairs here, and that's basically what we're here to do, is split hairs. But I like these rotary encoders. I use this specifically for my menu system, and then I use this for my increment and this for my selection. So It makes it very easy to adjust your controls right there. I don't use these two at all. I haven't figured out a good usage for them yet. They're there if I want to use them. You guys know I have plenty of buttons, which we'll talk about later on, but the quantity of buttons that I have on this particular sim setup is plentiful. Metal construction, love aluminum casing. I think most people can get these cases built relatively easy. It just makes the wheel, just as a package, feel better. This is going to be your standard suede. This wheel I bought this wheel used and it was in mint condition. It looked like it was untouched. And I've been using it for roughly about a month and it's starting to get us a little matting going on, but that's almost inevitable. So we can avoid that. What we can do is brush this wheel often. I haven't brushed it in a couple days, so I need to get on top of that, but try to manage this as much as you can. But I will say when it does mat, it doesn't look as bad as others because the mat and the ply on this thing is very, very short. So it's not really long, frizzy things that are floating all over the place. It's very, very compact and very short suede there. So that's a good note also. So let's talk about the feel. When you put it in your hand, well, put my damn gloves on because I don't want to get any more juice on this. I try not to touch this thing at all without gloves. When you put your hands on it, you have this very dense, solid feeling, and these handles are very thick. It's not overly wide because I have really big hands, but it's thick enough where I can feel like I have full control over the wheel. So that's excellent. And the button positions is very convenient. That's important, obviously, when you're saying sorry or when you're looking right and left. For my hands, like I said, I have gorilla hands. So for me, this thing is near ideal. I found myself, I don't find my hand slipping too much. I did find a scenario where my hand came off the wheel and it just magically landed on top and I kind of rode it back up like that. It was very easy and comfortable, and I don't see why I wouldn't kind of use that as an option in case my hand flies off. Just get it back on top and then you're good. The shifters, these are Asher Racing shifters. They modified these a little bit in my opinion. And I think I read on the website that there's some type of, let's call it dampening that happens at some point in here where if you hear that, you don't really hear a metallic sound. What you hear is a nice little click. And compared to all of my other wheels, except for my SimCore wheel, this is the quietest shifting system I've used. So I really like that, especially when the monster is sleeping and I don't want to wake her up. So I can get in here and race in the morning and quiet shift if I want to. And if I really want to, really want to make sure I'm not making much noise, I can, if you shift it lightly, it basically makes no sound. So, or I can do this. But then I have to pay too much attention to the shifting. So inherently, it's a very, very quiet shifter, not as loud as, let's say, the PSE or the Asher Racing wheels, which seem to have a clanky, metally sound. These are very, very quieted. I like that a lot. So the thing about these shifters, since they are Asher, the throw is relatively long, in my opinion. Hope this still focuses. But as you see, it has these GT style shifters that are aluminum also, and engraved with this little design here. I don't know if that's for styling or what, but I really like the way that looks. But as you see, no clank. And the good thing about this shifter, because of the metal contact and the way it's like screwed in, it feels like one unit instead of you holding on to a connected shifter to another bracket, right? This one, it feels like one piece and it's very, very solid. One thing I neglected to mention is that on the front of this thing, we got 3 bolts instead of your standard 6. Obviously, haven't had any issues with that. It works like any other wheel bolt would. No challenges with the 3-bolt system. I think the PSE wheel was also a 3-bolt system, if I remember correctly or not. But in general, it's just 3 bolts. Mount them to the back of your QR system right here, and then you're good to go. So obviously on-off switch, and it has a little baby nub antenna for your wireless system, and then you're good to go. So strap it in, get your QR lock back in there, and you're good to go. And I will mention that this wheel feels better for some reason with this shaft extension. I don't know why. Don't know the physics on that, but it feels better. Maybe it's because of the position and I'm torquing it more with my chest instead of my shoulders and arms. But long story short is this extension plus this wheel makes me a very happy camper. So I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on this wheel to show you what it looks like. If I were to recommend this to anyone, it would be only GT drivers. I don't know how much I would use this with open wheel cars because for some reason I feel like inherently with open wheel cars you want to kind of twist and respond a little quicker than than you would if you were doing it in a GT car. So that's just my opinion. I wanted to share this with you since I mentioned it in my last video. We're gonna do some glamour shots, and you guys have a wonderful day.